Okay, we've got an excellent show for you. Like I said, coming up today, we're going to find out the truth with this Bobby Lee story. Did you see he came clean? Bobby Lee. Let's talk about him, Asian Bobby Lee. Do we have him in a link? Do we have any content for that? Do we have a...
Well, you all know his Tijuana story.
Well, no, we don't all know his Tijuana story because that's what I was going to say. I was going to kind of retell it here because I didn't really know it. You know, you would think that's something I know front to back. I'll tell you a secret about me. If I don't hate the guy, I don't really care who they've molested or hurt. I don't, you know, to me, you go to another country, you molest some Chinese kid. Big whoop. What's the kid going to do? No, it's obviously disgusting, okay, if people do this to the children. Okay, the children. But Bobby Lee, for years, has been kind of ducking this Me Too moment here that he had. Do I have any materials for this? That's all I was asking.
Yeah,
Do I have a link? Okay, next step here. Bobby Lee addresses his Tijuana story. Here, I'll show you some of this, and then I'll tell you. The best part about this is I don't need him to address anything. I've got the answer, and that's coming up today. So here he is, a very special Tiger Belly. And, you know, I'm very friendly with Bobby and Kalila. These guys are big friends of mine. And Annie Lederman, I was just out to dinner with these three last week. Kalila is always very nice. She used to have breast implants. She got them removed because she's so sick of them. Okay. And here they are. They've got another new setup here. They're always changing their setup in this room. And they've got another new one. And this one's called Bobby Lee's Tijuana Story, Tiger Belly 393. This shocked a lot of people. A lot of people, when they saw this come out, they went, no. So let me try to retell this in my own way here. And please excuse me. I still got a little sniffles going on from my experience with COVID here. Okay, back to Bobby. So, Bobby Lee. You know, and you guys got to remember, Bobby Lee used to be a crazy retard. So, like Bobby Lee, before he got this new respect with Tiger Belly, he was what's called one of comedy's freak retards. And he was never himself. He was always scared, and whenever he was on somebody else's show, he would just play a retard. They'd all make jokes at him, and the bit was, and he shared this bit with many men. I found the bit to be repulsive because he didn't really want this to be the way it went down, but Bobby was so uncomfortable around so many men that he would allow them to all do the same bit to him. The same bit that Andrew Santino does to him to this day on Bad Friends, which is, I'm going to insult Bobby, I'm going to criticize him, and then he's going to say, how dare you? You know, and something like that. And everybody, like, fell into this Glassman-style playing. That's what Glassman calls riffing. He calls it playing. Think about this. Oh, I love to play, he says. Rick Glassman, why don't you come on my podcast? We'll play. He calls it playing. Like a play date. They're going to play. They're going to riff.
The amount I laugh when I play with people, I love him. I love playing with him. Yeah. If I'm not laughing and playing, I check out constantly.
Yeah.
Because I think we should always let the people play. You don't like, what do you mean? You don't like playing?
I do.
Yeah. You know what? I think that I'm different than you. I want to play and fight. Play and fight.
Disgusting. I don't play with people. But you saw when Bobby would go on Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen. Brian Callen, we got a big segment on him coming up. It would always just turn into, let's kind of pick on Bobby, and then Bobby will pretend he's upset, and is it real, is it not? And they'll tell fake stories. So Bobby used to go on this Opie and Anthony, and he claims he was so scared of Opie and Anthony. My pal Anthony Cumia, all this stuff ties in. And my pal Opie Radio, who's, let's be honest, he hasn't seen a lot of clips of Redbar, but he's seen some of his stuff. Every week I get a video sent to me. Mike, Opie from Opie and Anthony is talking about you. And I turn it on, and he goes, yeah, Redbar, to be honest, I don't really watch his stuff. I have seen his stuff. Just the fact that somebody knows me is all I need. Whitney Cummings knows me. She was just on the show The Accused on Fox. Whitney Cummings knows me. She just did the roast of Bert Kreischer. I got some clips. Guess who else knows me? Bobby Lee. He follows me. Let's check. Does Bobby Lee still follow me? You know, he followed me once and then unfollowed. Then he followed me again. Are you able to look at this? Because I'm going to bury Bobby today. I'm going to bury that today. How do I find out who's I'll tell you this. I've elected to go full boomer.
Yep, he follows you.
He follows me. Look at that. Bobby Lee follows me. So he sees everything I do, and I post a lot. Just kidding. I don't post. Okay, Bobby Lee, Opie and Anthony. Opie, where was I?
You were talking about how everyone always disrespected Bobby and treated him like shit, and then he was on Opie and Anthony.
So Bobby goes on Opie and Anthony with Anthony Cumia, and I guess he tells a story, and this was a different time back in those days. I remember listening to Opie and Anthony, and this is before like podcasting, comedian podcasting kind of started. Of course, we were doing it. Do you know we were like the first show that had comedians on in podcasting? Did you know that? We were one of the first shows to have comedians on as guests in podcasting. Then everybody copied. So back then, though, do you remember Jim Norton? It was all about the thrilling thing about Opie and Anthony was we just couldn't believe these stories they were telling. You know, Jim Norton would talk about how he would fuck a hookah. They would talk about these stories about fucking prostitutes and trannies and all this, and you just had never heard anything like that before. You got to take yourself back to a time where there was a time where we never heard people act grody publicly. It was a big thrill. I loved this thrill. You could tune into a lot of talk radio back then. And there just wasn't too much being said. Everything was pretty safe. Everything was pretty TV friendly back in the day. And then you had Opie and Anthony, which was on the Real Radio, which was a big part of it. It was on XM Radio, too, which back then seemed like the Real Radio, a real corporation. And you'd be in your car and you would just be thrilled to hear these wacky stories. Cut to now where a wacky story is the absolute last thing I ever want to hear. I hate stories. I'll tell you this. I hate a comedian's story. Oh, this one time I got to tell you about that. It's always a lie. It's always fake. And I guess back then, I didn't realize everybody was just lying. You know, to me, I know like stand-up is a lie. But I thought if you were on a radio show as yourself and you were being interviewed and you told a story, I imagined it was real. You know, we had that thing with Brad Williams. Brad Williams, that midget comedian, which is another no-no in my book. I am not thrilled or taken by midgets. I hate midgets. I don't find them funny, cute. I want them out. So this guy, Brad Williams, he was on Getting Doug with High, as this show hosted by Doug Benson where they'd smoke weed in the spacement. And Brad Williams told a story about how he was open up for Carlos Mencia once. And Carlos was so popular at the time, they had this tour bus. And all these girls would line up outside the tour bus hoping to get in and fuck Carlos Mencia. And Carlos was, you know, he had fucked so many of these women at the shows. He was over it. And there was a girl knocking on the tour bus door who wanted to fuck Carlos. And Carlos goes, "Oh, man, I don't want anything to do with her, donk." And Brad Williams, the little midget. And by the way, a Mexican and a midget, a white midget, shouldn't. If you guys are together, that's what's called the circus. To me, when a midget's involved, you've circusized your operation. That is a circus freak. Let's be clear. So Brad Williams goes, "Dude, send her in. We'll turn off all the lights. I'll pretend to be you and I'll start fucking her. And then we'll turn the lights on. She'll see it's me. She'll freak." So he tells his story. He says that that's precisely what he did. He says that we turned the lights off on the tour bus. This girl comes in. I start fucking her as the midget. We turn the lights on. She sees Carlos is sitting there like this, and I'm the one behind her like this. She screams and runs out of the bus. I go, that's a rape. So they told this story on Getting Dug with High. I go, wow, that's a rape. You just admitted to a rape. That's a switcheroo-style rape. And we showed it to the world as a rape like that. And Brad got very worried, and he came out and he said the story was a lie. He made it up. I go, I don't know. I don't think you made it up. I think if you made something up, wouldn't it be a better story than, well, maybe not. Either way, if you make up a rape, you kind of raped. Or if you ever thought, here's what bothers me about it. If you didn't think that was a rape when you, like, I don't care how many years ago it is. If I'm fucking a girl without her permission, I know that's a rape. The fact that Brad Williams thought this joke wasn't a rape, you know what I mean? Like, to say that means that you're capable, at least, of doing that if you didn't even think that was bad. You know what I mean? You didn't know that was a rape, or you didn't know that was illegal.
At least Bobby Lee's story was like, oh, this is going to ruin my career. Yeah. He didn't even know that he was doing anything wrong in this story.
Yeah. So, to me, if you tell a story that you raped somebody, which I have told many times, kids, I've raped a lot of kids. There's nothing anyone can do about it. The kids will not tell you a word because they are happy with our relationship. But there used to be a time where, yes, you could tell shocking stories, and it was very funny to just be shocking. Okay? It's something we still, it's a spirit that we keep alive here today on Redbar. I like to, every show, say the world's most dangerous word, the N-word. I love it. Because you got to keep thrill alive, and there's no word more hated than this N. So I will say it every time to show you guys that there's something to it. It's funny. Still. The day it becomes unfunny, believe me, I won't be saying it. And the day it becomes unfunny will be the day where they allow it again. So Bobby Lee tells this Tijuana story where he claims he went down to Tijuana, got a child prostitute, started fucking her. She started crying. And so then he started power fucking her. And then she cried more. And he tells his story on Opie and Anthony, he tells his story to Theo Vaughn. And then the world changes, right? Me Too movement happens. George Floyd comes out of the closet. And now the whole world remembers this story he told. And they say, that's a rape. We got to get him. And it's been brought up. So he's been worried about this because it pops up. And it popped up recently on TikTok. Woo, TikTok.
I put one of the TikToks in the notes if you wanted to just have a sample.
Yes.
But there was
now, I might not be able to get into this because I don't log in.
So for 3 years, maybe even longer, comedian Bobby Lee has been going on different shows and bragging about going to Mexico and S.A.ing a 12-year-old girl.
S.A.ing. You guys know what S.A. is? Sexual assault. They won't say sexual assault now because they might get demonetized on YouTube and TikTok. So they say S.A. Hey, I had an essay with somebody the other day. What's up, essay? I don't like that there's so many terms for essay. You've got essay as the paper. You got essay as my favorite, the Mexican man. Essay. Here. Yo, essay, you want to come down with me and dirty up America, essay? And then you've got SA, which is sexual assault. These people are too afraid to say it. To me, this is what I don't want. I don't want to give in to that world. You know, we built our own servers so that we don't have to give into that. But you cannot, if you're watching Bobby Lee, or you're watching one of these podcasts, and they're cutting out swear words from the first 10 minutes of their show so that they don't get demonetized. They're changing words to SA instead of sexual assault. That's not cool. That sucks. And you can't support them. Okay? And they will always live under me. Right? Right, everybody? They will always live under me because they don't have the guts They don't have the guts because they want the money. So here's this guy who's going to tell this Bobby Lee story. I can't wait to hear this. And it's blowing up and everybody wants answers. Bobby Lee, why did you molest? Why did you rape? Why did you power fuck a child? And we have the answer, I'll tell you this. Here, let me play this first. And then I'll tell you what I got here.
So for 3 years, maybe even longer, comedian Bobby Lee has been going on different shows and bragging about going to Mexico and SAing a 12-year-old girl.
Into the moonlight, and she was crying. Yeah, she was weeping like snot bubbles. Yeah, snot bubbles. God,
I'm not gonna play everything.
Snot bubbles. She said he was raping the girl so hard she had snot bubbles. Sick. Where this story gets gross for me is when I find out the person he was with sexually was anything other than white. More racism. The other day, here's how I know how racist I'm getting. I was thinking to myself, I can't tell. I can't say that. There's some things you got to self-censor here. Hit the dump button, right, Clydes? I was just going to make something up on the spot, so don't worry about that. And you could never prove what I thought, but it was racist. It was true racist. I imagined Robin Tran going, this is where I say my goodbyes. All right, let's listen to this. I keep cutting this off. Let's listen to this. Opie and Anthony.
I'm not going to play everything he said, but it is disgusting. And by the way, that interview with Bobby Lee was with another comedian, David Chow. And this leads into 2 points I want to make. One is one that I've been saying for a long time. Comedy, stand-up comedy is full of white supremacy and toxic masculine behavior. So as a stand-up comedian, if you don't subscribe to that, you're not going to make it. What? That's why you see a lot of men of color align with this kind of humor. Because they protect each other. Like his buddy, Chris D'Elia, who people in the industry know he has done things against kids and even wrote an episode for him about him. Oh. But all these companies, all they did was take down the episode and not held him accountable. And if anybody goes, you don't understand stand-up comedy. I've been doing it since I was 18 years old. I have over 12,000 performances, and I'm telling you, that's not comedy. That's a confession. Sprinkled in with a few punchlines.
Yeah.
I've tagged other accounts if you want to learn more about this.
Okay. So let's see this. Let's go back to Bobby Lee's story. Do we have any time codes? Yeah. Okay. Here. Oh, yeah. 444. Look at our first time code is 444, which was even pointed out to me by the wonderful Jules' dad the other day. He goes, I just saw somebody with 444 tattooed on them. I go, wow, look at that. He goes, is that like he thought that was just from our show. A lot of people think that's just from our show. These 3 numbers. These are numbers from time. These are numbers from the world's history. Nothing comes from this show. Get that out of your head. It's all luck. So here's Bobby Lee. He's with Kalila. You know who I hate on this Bobby Lee Tiger Belly? This guy. What's his name? Damien?
Something with a G?
Paula or something. It's like a girl's name. Paula. Pauline. He sucks. This guy, we should do a whole show dedicated to the audio guys or producers from other podcasts because they're really the worst people in the world.
Gilbert? Is that him?
Gilbert. And are they all related because they're Thai? Nothing makes me sicker.
Or is that George?
Than Thai people coming into this world. I'm just kidding. I'm not racist at all. So here's Bobby, here's Kalila. Let's go to 444 and listen to what they're talking about here. And then again, coming up today, the reason we're doing this is we're going to find out if today, if Bobby raped this girl, it's a true story, or if it's just a joke story like he's claiming. Here, listen to this.
But I have to put on the real Bobby Lee version on for just this first segment, if you guys don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay. So I want to address this Tijuana story. There's this Tijuana story that I told on Opie and Anthony. Don't do this with your fucking thing. Don't do that. I told many, many years ago on Opie and Anthony, and there's been an uptick, an uproar about this story, and I've always wanted to talk about it, but the people around me are like, you know what, you didn't do anything, it'll die down. But I'm always like, yeah, but I can explain it. And people are always like, yeah, I don't think you should, because you don't want to you want people to focus on it.
Right.
And this last couple of weeks have been so bad. I just need to say something, and I
love that. So when I hear that these last couple of weeks have been so bad, that's exactly where I want comedians to be. And a lot of them have very bad weeks, a lot of bad weeks. Luckily, knock on this desk, my only bad times are when I'm sick. Otherwise, nothing really bad ever happens to me. I love hearing that. I've had a very bad week. I've had a very stressful week. And why shouldn't all this free money come with a little stress and a couple bad weeks? Why shouldn't it? They don't deserve, technically, to be where they're at. Most of these guys don't deserve to be where they're at. So I say, that's why. That's the rub. That's what's going to happen to you when you really don't deserve all the money you've gobbled away from these people. Stuff like this is going to happen. It has nothing to do with if you're a rapist or not. People will find a way to make you a rapist if you're taking too much money. It's just the way it goes. So, okay, he's going to explain a little bit here. Do we move forward here? Do we let him talk? Or
he just kind of tells
I know, I just want to hear what he's saying. Let's just hear a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think it's easily explainable. And so let's start from the genesis of the beginning. Okay?
I think the genesis means beginning.
But what is the beginning?
Stop. See, they're having too much fun. It's too much fun for a very special episode, which leads me to believe they're trying to make it seem like, that's what I would do. Whenever I'm in a lot of trouble, I make it seem like everything's fine. We're having fun. There's flowers. So remember, guys, bits are cover-ups for crimes. Every time. So they're laughing. They're having a good time. Okay.
What's the beginning of the beginning?
Oh, you're right.
See, they're doing tangents here. Okay, Jules, how do we cut to the chase with this?
You can go to like 7:30.
Ooh, 7:30. My old bedtime. My parents were very strict. They said, and this is when I was like a senior in high school, they said 7:30, that's it. That's it. 7:30 or you're grounded. And I said, guys, I'm telling you, none of the other kids. They said, I don't care about the other kids. And I said, okay. Here we go, 7:30.
Because they were like moving the table to freak me out. And then there was a man with a bunny rabbit outfit right outside.
Talking about Opie and Anthony.
And every time I would turn around, he'd be gone or whatever.
What is this?
And also the type of, it was, you have to imagine, it's the best comics on planet Earth at the time. You have Jim Norton, Patrice O'Neill.
At the time.
Greg Giraldo, Robert Kelly. And these guys are just like fast, edgy, shocky. And, at the time I was just doing dad jokes and I just left. And I told the guy, I don't ever want to fucking do that show ever again. It's just not my thing. So then the following year, I go back to Caroline's, and they go, you didn't sell any tickets. And fucking, you know what I mean? Opie and Anthony is on the fucking schedule. And I go, what? I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it. And they go, you have to, right? I mean, no one's going to come. And they have a big audience. So this time I was like, I'm going to do two things differently. The first thing I'm going to do is self-deprecation. Because what happened before is like they make fun of you, right? And so I wanted to get ahead of it. And I was like, no, I'm going to rip myself apart. And the second thing I did was, I'm just going to say the craziest shit they've ever heard, because that's what that show was, right? You have to understand it was before cancel culture and the things that we're saying were, you know what I mean, at a high level of shock. And I was just like, you know what?
Yeah, you ate like bull.
Would it be better if I got like a gaming chair and a pixelated cutout of me and just put me right here on the bottom of the screen, and then the whole screen was filled with just a bunch of blurry, junky imagery? What do you guys think about that? Don't allow that anymore. Okay, we got to get back to Bobby. People are, believe me, there's news organizations. The Fighter and the Kid Reddit is on the edge of their seat because I've got the answers to this Bobby thing, which I have hyped up too much, actually. And when you see how I'm going to get the answer, you're going to be pretty pissed. Okay. So Bobby Lee claims the story was made up. Do I have to play any more of this, or?
He just explains that it was a joke, basically.
He just says it was a joke, and now it's over, right? He gets to move
He says
on.
it was a combination of 2 of his early bits, and he told it many times when he didn't know what to say.
Okay, so that's the thing. It's a joke. So let's go to the chat now. Do you believe Bobby Lee? Let's see. Press 1 if you believe Bobby Lee, it was just a joke. Press 2 if you go, no. That's a cover-up for a real rape. It's real. The story's real. Okay, so let's see. 1, press 1 if you believe him that it was a joke. Press 2 if you don't believe Bobby, it's a rape and he needs to be locked up, okay? And let's just see what the people say. I'm very curious to see what the people say. We've got this beautiful chat room here. Oh, Salvo, this is the first thing I see when I clap. Salvo Pancakes just posted on Twitter that he's going to kill himself. That is true. I spoke to him today. He said today he's going to kill himself. So, okay, they're all saying they believe. Oh, look at this. The whole chat room is twos. The entire chat room is twos. There's not a one in sight. Well, are you guys being serious?
Oh, there's 1-1.
There's
That's
1-1.
nice.
But look at this. Nobody believes Bobby. They think he actually raped the girl in Tijuana, told the story. And now, of course, because that's illegal and he wants all the money, he's going to say it's a joke. That's what they're saying. So the people do not believe. I mean, I'm looking here. There are a million twos. 1.5, it's not rape, but it's wrong. And again, we could care less. I wouldn't care if they bombed whatever city he was in with whatever girl was in. Believe me, if you're not in America, I do not care about you. And if you're in America, I really don't care about you. So we got a lot of twos. Nobody knows. Okay, should we try to get to the bottom of this? Let's get some. Is there some music? Some spooky music or something we can play? This is so dumb. Let's take a drink first, but we're going to find out the truth. The world out there right now, the world is going, well, we've got Bobby saying that the story's fake, but who do we believe? And how do we end this? How do we come to a proper, definitive answer here? Did Bobby Lee rape this girl or was it a joke? How do we figure this out? Well, this is how we're going to do it, and everybody has to just go by what happens next. So whatever happens next is the truth. And you could rest assured because it happened on Redbar. Mike Redbar said that this is the truth, and that's going to be the final truth. There's going to be no more arguing about it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and this is going to annoy people, I know, but still, aren't we just trying to cut to the chase and figure out the truth finally once and for all, right? Isn't that what everybody wants?
Yes.
That's what we're doing. Here we go. Cut to the close-up. The magic 8-ball. Shiny. From Mattel. They found one of these in the back room the other day. I found one of these in the back room the other day. I got these all over my house just for situations like this. And I said, you know what? The answer will be on Redbar, and then that will be the answer, right? The definitive answer. So, what should the question be? Because you really got to get the question right.
Okay.
Did Bobby Lee rape the kid in Tijuana?
Okay.
How about that? And this is going to be it. There's no more arguing after this. This is just what it is. Did Bobby Lee?
Nervous for him.
Me too. Dear...
This is fair, 100%
This is fair. This is as fair as it's going to get, at least. Otherwise, it's just he said, he said. Did Bobby Lee rape a child in Tijuana? And here it comes. You can cut to that close-up. I don't even see it. The world's going to see it first. What do we got? What do we got? Do I have to hold it a certain way?
Oh, you do
I'll
have to
do it
hold
again.
it up looking at you?
I have to look at it. Okay. Did Bobby Lee rape a child in Tijuana? Get nothing here, which is very confusing. What are the rules of the 8-ball? Do you have to hold it a certain way?
Pop
I'm
up.
getting nothing floating up, so I'm going to just wait till the first float up. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting corners. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, the question was, and this is going to end it for good. This doesn't look good. My question was, did Bobby Lee rape a child in Tijuana? And see, I don't know if you guys can see. If I turn it, it's going to fuck it up. But it says, my reply is no. My reply, can you see this? Look here. My reply is no.
Oh my God. Yes, he didn't do it. He got off
scot-free. Guys, I'm sorry. Tell the fighter in the kid Reddit that Redbar said there was no rape. I mean, trust me, that's not the answer I wanted. I wanted it to be worse. I want him to be like, Mike, you have no idea. And then tell me more. He did not rape anybody. There. We could finally move on. You know, I don't know. It's not up for me to decide. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with much more Redbar. Don't go anywhere. Our breaks are short.
Makes your day. Brings you the world, the stars and the songs. Mike makes your day. He does what you'd like to and takes you along.
We're going live.